I am Jamie Dawn, your evolutionary revolutionary astrologer, bringing you your December 2021 horoscope. And this is if you have your sun, moon, or rising sign in the sign of Cancer. I am placing the sign of Cancer on the first house. This means that we kick off the month with the moon and Mars in Scorpio canoodling and making a trine to Neptune. This means that your first, fifth, and ninth houses are going to be activated. And when you've got the moon and Mars in the sign of Scorpio canoodling, it can be a pretty intense emotional time. And I'm pointing this out for you in particular because you're very tuned in to the emotional world. Even if you don't directly get what is happening, meaning it's not happening directly to you, you're going to feel it. You're going to pick it up from around your environment. That's something you do easily. And so this can be a positive intensity, especially if everything seems to be moving correctly or lined up with who you are, what you feel is good for you. In this fifth house, we're dealing with pleasure house. We're dealing with children. We're dealing with sex and casual relationships. And then it's making a trine to Neptune and Pisces in that ninth house, which has to do with expanding your horizons, giving you a chance maybe to even share with somebody what you really feel for them. Or maybe you hear from them something that is maybe hidden for a while because we're dealing with Scorpio in that fifth house. It could have been this little secret love affair that you've had going on, not necessarily a third party, even though if you are in a third party, you'll find out. And when it shows up, it won't feel comfortable, of course. And we're dealing with an eclipse week because we have a new moon eclipse in Sagittarius in that sixth house on December 4th. I'll talk about that in a second. But I'm setting you up to say this week in particular, this first week of December, is going to feel pretty intense emotionally. Now, what it can do, if you are, let's say, dating somebody and it is a very positive connection, then you may find yourself traveling with this person or having conversations that expand the way in which you relate to each other. Maybe there's some truth about what type of relationship you want to continue to have, whether it stays casual, whether it deepens. So there's a lot of things here that allow you to be able to share with another or find out from another how you feel or how they really feel. And with Mars activating this, it's going to be pretty intense. And I will also say that when we're dealing with a trine to Neptune here, and Neptune will be direct, then you're also going to be dealing with fantasy land, maybe some fantasies that bring you great pleasure. It gives you a chance maybe to travel and escape the mundane, everyday stuff, which is always fun. As they say, though, you know, sometimes you wonder if going on vacation is worth it because you have to pick up all the pieces when you come back and, you know, running and gunning kind of thing. However, what I can say for the most part, this should be a really positive time. It's the last of the eclipses in the Sagittarius Gemini energy and signs. And so what you're working with as well is a south node in Sagittarius. So there could be some things of the past that get wrapped up. This can also be a time where those of you, I'll speak to the bonded Cancers, if you're in a relationship that seems solid, then this gives you a chance to be able to transform the belief systems that you may have held about your partner or about the relationship. Maybe it was struggling, and you're like, I don't know that it'll ever get better. And now you have hope. Now there's some optimism here that as you can speak more truth, as you can work together in the sixth house, this gives you a chance maybe to get a professional health person involved, meaning maybe you and your partner do counseling together, or maybe you finish up the counseling because you've completed what you needed to, and now you're finally on the same page and you can start putting a new routine together, a new way in which you relate to each other. There's a lot of new realizations that can show up here. And also, we are going to be working with themes of knowledge and expanding our minds and sharing information. And so you may find yourself moved just to share, simply for the sake of sharing. Now, the other thing that I'll offer is that this could be a wonderful breakthrough and big change that helps to move your daily routines into a positive place. And so you may find yourself, because we're dealing with sixth house here in Sagittarius, that you start to work with people from all over the world, or maybe from outside of your city or state. There's a far-reaching opportunity here if you're looking for a new job to be able to have new coworkers, maybe that come from a foreign background. Maybe you decide to start working with a company that's from a foreign place. Now, Mars is going to square off with Jupiter on December 8th, creating a bit of tension in that 5th and 8th house. So what may end up happening is that, let's say you're trying to have some fun and pleasure, and let's say you did around that new moon eclipse, and then you have to come home and deal with 8th house stuff that could also be like, oh, maybe I spent too much money on my trip, or maybe I had a little too much fun and now I need to get more serious about it. Or you're looking for resources that you just don't have at the moment and you have to get resourceful. But with Jupiter in Aquarius here, it can help expand the mind. It can help give you some pretty abundant ideas to come up with solutions that you might need. On December 10th, 11th, Venus and Pluto will be canoodling in that 7th house, creating opportunities for you to feel more powerful in your relationships, your finances. It could also cause you to get into a power struggle if you're not careful. 7th house has to do with competition or competitors. So not only does it deal with relationships and those that you want to partner with, but it also can deal with the competitors that are there. So I will say it's a mixed bag. It could go either way. But if you're in a relationship that feels solid, whether it's personal or professional, then you can be united on it and you can work to come up with ways in which you can better your partnership, strengthen it. And with Pluto here, there's a real force of nature here. The one thing you have to be careful of is manipulation. So you could be involved with a particular person, whether it's a friendship or a romance or a business partnership, that may feel manipulating, or they may try and manipulate you. And I use that because we're dealing with Pluto and Venus here. And the shadow side of Venus is jealousy. The shadow side of Venus is manipulation. So she can easily attract, but she can also do it in a way that is seductive, but not necessarily for good things. It's seductive to get her way. And with Pluto adding to the mix here, it could be that, you know, there's that forcefulness or that shadow side when we're dealing with Pluto. Now, on the positive, again, this can also help unite you and bond you with a particular partnership that's important in your life. So what I would say is allow yourself to go deep into the belly of who am I and what do I need to be the best version of myself, because I need to achieve. We've got Venus and Pluto in Capricorn taking relationships seriously right now, and you're really looking at your values. And if you can stay in alignment with your values, then no matter what the outcome is, you can feel like you've achieved something. If nothing else, you've achieved peace, because nothing is worth your peace. Mars enters Sagittarius and Mercury enters Capricorn on December 13th. This is going to activate that 6th and 7th house even further. And as we continue to move into Capricorn season, that 7th house of partnership is going to become more highlighted. Now, one thing to mention, Venus is in her shadow and will retrograde on the 19th in Capricorn, also meaning that there's going to be some people and relationships and subject matters around the 7th house that's coming back to be revisited. And with Mercury in Capricorn and then Mars in Sagittarius in that 6th house, it is going to be activating, taking a serious approach to planning things, to getting things wrapped up. I really feel that the second half of December may show you, if you've got something lingering in the past, that it finally comes into a nice, neat little package, perfect for those of you who celebrate something like Hanukkah or Christmas. And if you're in that gift-giving mode. Now, with Mars and Sagittarius, it is going to drive you to find ways in which you can create more experiences in your life, to expand your mind, to grow, to have an adventure. There's a bit of freedom here that is needed in your daily routine. So if you're taking relationships serious and it feels like there's not enough freedom within that relationship, then how do you bring those two together? Very often we think freedom means nobody cares, you do whatever you want. To a certain extent, that's true. But as they say, with great freedom, but with great power comes great responsibility. And that's what you're looking at in the 7th house with Capricorn there. You're going to hold a lot of power with Venus, Pluto, and Mercury, and then the sun will follow on the 21st. So you're going to have all these planets stacked into that 7th house, showing you what kind of power you actually hold when it comes to relationships. And it's going to be important in how you communicate them and how you show up for yourself. And I can tell you, if you're partnered with somebody or you're friends with someone and they are bringing out the best in you, you may need to either cut ties with that person or you set some really clear boundaries. And Mars in Sagittarius is going to help to assist you in speaking that kind of truth. The other thing to keep in mind, I mentioned Venus retrograding on the 19th. It's also a full moon in Sagittarius. So this could be where you're letting go of some habits, some things that you do on a daily basis that no longer serves you, because we're dealing with a full moon. And that's so you can show up as the better version of yourself. So you can show up as a true partner for someone that you care deeply for. Because you know what, Cancer? It's time for you to have the joy in your life and not worry about sabotaging it. As I like to say, you can't sabotage something that wants to live. You can damage it. You can, have a lot of forgiveness and a lot of conversation around it and things like that, but you can't kill it. So if it wants to live, it'll live. The bigger question, and this is for those of us who are working on being more conscious and making better choices in our lives, and that is, how do I want to consciously choose to show up? How do I want to achieve more in my life in a way that is a benefit to others? And I think that's the thing. Now, the other piece of this on a practical note, because I know you appreciate this, is that when you have all this seventh house lineup, you'll be looking for practical ways in which you can attract, how you can solidify, and how you can merge with individuals who have some sense of maturity, some sense of power, who I guess I could say isn't a shit show. You're looking for somebody who actually shows up in a real way. Now, on the 25th, 26th of December, Venus and Pluto will canoodle again, and this time Venus is fully retrograde, and she's in the seventh house again, like I say, and so now you have a chance to revisit and redo areas where maybe there's an abuse of power in partnerships, or possibly where you felt powerless, where you just sort of went along with what everybody else's idea was for you, and that now you're taking your power back. Now you're saying, this is what I need to do in order to show up and to accomplish the things in my life that I now want to achieve. Because I'm tired of kind of, yes, going with the flow is important, but I'm tired of being the one who's taken advantage of or being the victim or whatnot. Because remember, this seventh and ninth house makes a sextile, and Neptune is direct now in Pisces, making a sextile to the seventh house, and it is creating opportunities for you to see where maybe you played the victim. Maybe you are now finding full power in healing of the past, trusting that intuition. Do trust that, because it's going to be extremely powerful during the month of December, more than ever. And some very deep and profound healing of past relationships can take place. But I will tell you this, with that sextile to Pisces, the seventh and ninth house, boundaries. That's the biggest thing I can say, are going to be crucial, and communicating those boundaries in a very clear way. And when your agenda may not line up with somebody else's, there could be issues. But guess what? You have to be true to yourself, because the shadow side of this Venus and Pluto canoodling is manipulation, it's control, it's this icky, call it cesspool of energy that comes in, and it will totally make you ill. That's the best way to say it. Whether it's physically ill, mentally ill, whatever. And unfortunately, a lot of damage can be done. But because I tend to lean on the more positive side of things, I sense that this is a great time for you to be able to heal that past that has been so painful, and to be able to show others how truly happy, how truly powerful you are just by being who you are. Radical love and acceptance. And it's only going to get better and more expansive when Jupiter enters Pisces on the 29th of December, and Mercury will canoodle with Venus and Pluto at that time. So again, more of that seventh and ninth house sextiling going on, activation, and with Jupiter in Pisces making a beautiful trine to your sun, moon, or rising sign, giving you more faith, more hope in the future, and knowing that if you can be true to yourself, if you can really have that faith and hope and trust that the future is brighter because you show up authentically. You say, this is who I am. This is my past. My past doesn't define who I am today, but it has helped shape me. And now moving forward into my future, I'm going to own everything, and I get to, today's a brand new day, and I get to show up differently, and I get to really embody the truest sense of who I am. All right, Cancer, let me leave you one other thought. If you're still watching this video, And that is, if you are struggling in a relationship, this is a month where you may put a plan together to exit that relationship, and then January you pull that trigger. If you are in a positive relationship and it's one that is feeding your soul, or you're looking for that right relationship, this month is a time for you to be able to maybe quietly behind the scenes have those conversations, connect with those beloveds, or put yourself out there and just mingle and have fun. And then see if you can just hang tight until about the middle to end of January. And then Venus is direct again and moves out of shadow. I know Mercury will retrograde. We'll talk about that in January. But what you can find is that you get to take your time getting to know that person, maybe making some plans behind the scenes that really are nobody else's business but the two of you if you're in a relationship. All right, so Cancer, don't lose hope and faith. This is a month filled with it. And what I would say is stay true to your values, and that's where you're going to achieve your greatest accomplishments. Your money sector is not as highlighted here, except for the fact that if you're doing your daily work, you let go of bad habits, you incorporate new ones, that will just strengthen the treasure troves that you already have. More activation is coming in the month of January and February, particularly February highlighted in March for your financial sector. But for now, stay the course and focus on being the best version of yourself. All right, Cancer, I really hope that this helps. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, and come find me at jamiedawn.com. I look forward to connecting with you. Take care.